There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint Farms.
Hey guys, it's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms, restorations and repairs here in the mountains of North Carolina, and tonight I'll be showing you the forgotten art of timing a vehicle's distributor, or ignition timing. Now, this is something that most modern cars, in fact I can't think of any modern cars that still have adjustable timing. All that is now controlled by computers, and they do a really good job of that. But back in the era of Beetles and Bugs and buses and Rabbits and older Volvos and like a lot of cars made up through, I'd say the mid 80s, maybe late 80s, those had adjustable distributors and adjustable timing. And so when you did any kind of major work, if you rebuilt an engine or for any reason you had to pull the entire distributor out of the car and replace it, put a new one back in or take it out to replace the points or something like that and put it back in there, you needed to be able to adjust your timing. And I'm going to use this tool right here I just picked up. Is the Kzyee KT60, and I'll leave a link for it down in the description below. It's a lot more advanced than the ones that I grew up with. The type of timing lights that I grew up with were just straight timing lights. You would clamp it around, and I'm going to show you how all this works. You clamp it around the number 1 spark plug, and it's going to flash every time that spark plug detonates. It would show you top dead center or wherever the timing currently was. The problem with those older timing lights is that a lot of these pulleys only had one mark, and it was 0. So you could align everything to 0 when you're doing a timing belt, but that didn't really help you much when you were trying to time the distributor, because a lot of manufacturers then and now, they don't have the spark plug actually go off at top dead center. It might be a few degrees before or a few degrees after. And if any of this sounds confusing, don't worry, we're going to really be able to see how it all plays out once we get this hooked up to a car. This type of timing light is variable. You can program in how many degrees before or after top dead center you want the engine to be timed. So in the case that I'm working on, I think it's 6, and of course I'm going to look that up. I think it's 6 degrees before top dead center. And so when I hook this up, if I just had the old style tool and I press the button, it's going to be off. It's going to be flashing, but the two lines are not going to line up. Some guys would actually make marks in the timing cover or buy aftermarket pulleys that had multiple marks on them. But with a tool like this, you don't have to do any of that. You can program it and you can change your timing any way you want. So let's go ahead. I'm going to pull the car in and I'm going to turn the lights mostly off because I want to be able to see the flashing of the timing light. And I'll walk you through how easy it is with a timing light to set your static timing or ignition timing on your car. Let's do it. All right, so before we pull the car in, what we want to do is our research here. So on this particular car, I've got a printed manual. A lot of times now you're going to have to look this stuff up online. But what it's saying here is on a car with manual transmission, we're going to want this thing to be lined up at 3 degrees ATDC, and that stands for after top dead center. I've gone ahead and wrote that down, and I'll just put this out of the way. Some cars will be before top dead center, some will be after. So you definitely want to check. And year model makes a lot of difference. So this particular car is 1980. Most of the later models used before top dead center. So there's a lot of differences there that are kind of interesting. You just can't trust your memory on this. You got to look it up. Go ahead and get all this unpacked. There we go. Okay, and I'll set. All right, so now that I got this thing out, I'll just go ahead and show you this before we hook it up so you understand how it works. And this is the KT60. We have advanced plus or minus, so I could go after top dead center or before top dead center. In our case, we're going to be going 3 degrees after top dead center, right? And here is where our strobe is, so that's what we're going to be shining on our light, looking at it. When we make our adjustment, and you'll see outside, what we're going to end up with is everything's going to look like it's exactly at 0 TDC, but that is not going to be the case because we've made our adjustments in the tool. These two are going to hook to our positive and negative on our battery terminal, and this clamps to our number 1 spark plug lead. Okay, we've got our tool, we've got our information. We're going to go ahead and hook this all up, and it is time to adjust the timing on our car. Let's do it. All right, well here we are at the car, and what I'm going to do is kind of get the camera in close and show you if I can. And that's not going to be too easy because of the limitations here, but there we go, way down there. If I shine this light, this right here, that white mark right there is our top dead center mark. And there's another white mark on the crank pulley. So when this thing starts strobing, what we're going to be looking for is that those two line up. If they don't, we're going to make an adjustment to our distributor. And let me take you over and show you the distributor. And here's our distributor. What you can't see, well, at least it's very hard to see on this model, is there's a 13mm screw or bolt down here. I'm going to loosen that so that I can rotate this distributor this way or that way, and that's going to allow us to make our adjustments. As far as the tool goes, that setup was super easy. My clamp here goes on the #1 spark plug, and my battery connectors on the positive and the negative. And as you can see, our scan tool is now lit up, so I can go ahead and adjust I'm going to make it 3. Right, there we go. And we have 4 or 2-stroke engine, which is really cool. Although I can't say that I've ever adjusted the timing on a 2-stroke. So there we go. Now, when I press down this button and we are looking at the light, you're going to see all this come together in a way that'll be understandable. There you go. Now you see it working, right? See the light flashing? So it's programmed to 3. We're going to go over here. Hopefully y'all can see this. Down in the hole. I don't know how easy it is for y'all to see, but turns out this engine is actually in time. If I rotate the distributor, I can move that needle back and forth, but it's actually lined up perfectly. Let me go ahead and shut it off. Well, that's it. As you can see, there's just not a lot to it. It's a lost art, and a lot of people don't own the tool to do the job, so they'll do good enough, and good enough really never is. This tool was not expensive. Again, I'll leave a link for it down in the description. When we get the Beetle back on the road, it too will need to have its distributor adjusted, and I'll show you again on that. And maybe it'll be a little closer. I can get right to the pulley on a Beetle, so you'll have a better chance of seeing how this works as far as that strobe lighting up that mark. I tried a couple different angles, and I really couldn't get down in there. Part of that is that normally the pulley is going to be black. On this car, it's a chrome pulley. So that made that white line a little hard to see on camera, but there it is. If you have any questions about using a timing light, I'd be happy to help you out with that. And until next time, my friends, that's it. Take care.